All right, I'm going to go ahead and do this now page update kind of off the cuff. I really don't have the patience to do any editing, but I told myself that I needed to make this video, especially since the last couple months have been pretty hectic and doing kind of crazy things. I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of backstory. So, I don't know if I explained this a whole lot in my last episode. I probably did, considering the fact that the last episode was the first day after all of this. And at the tail end of August, I got a ticket to a conference, managed to find a way to find a place to stay, how to get there, and went to the conference. Amazing, met a ton of people, had a great experience, learned, networked, everything. Came back, started feeling kind of sick, started getting really sick, and ended up going to the ER for the first time in my adult life. Ended up having lobar pneumonia is what I found out at that point. Turned out to be Legionella-based pneumonia. At least that's what the prevailing theory is. And that next week, I still, even after a really tough antibiotic, it still was prevalent. So I got another antibiotic that was more wide ranging. Still didn't work. Third week had tons of fevers, but I was like trying to make it through. And then the fourth week is when I finally decided. Well, I had another clinic appointment, but I finally decided that something's really going on here. I'm gonna see what they say at the clinic, but let's see what happens. They told me immediately almost to go to the hospital. Got admitted. That's when I found out it was Legionella. It turns out the pneumonia basically just reinfected my lung and I had fluid in my lungs. It was a really terrible experience. And the reason why I bring it up is that it's still impacting me now over a month later. It took another couple weeks after that just for me to start feeling better at all, let alone have any symptoms. Now I'm kind of just at the point where I'm just feeling recovery, trying to get past what the antibiotics did to my body, too, no less. And it's very prevalent because during those 6 weeks that I was just completely incapable of doing much things, I wasn't able to do content. I wasn't really able to work out. I tried walking every day and I tried picking up some weights here and there, but I couldn't work out. The walking wasn't too big of a deal, but I was still only doing around the block essentially. And these habits, oops, my bad. These habits ended up being something that I was not able to keep up. And, well, I'm not editing that out. I was trying to mute my phone. But these habits are something that I really wanted to keep going. That's the whole point of having this consistency layer. And because of that, I found myself struggling. Let's roll the intro here and see what we can do. So yeah, whenever it comes to what I am trying to accomplish in my life, it ends up happening because of all the different endeavors or phases or anything that I have been trying to put my mind towards. It started out with the first phase being around education. Once I got that modular degree template out, I felt pretty satisfied with it. That education for built in a knowledge management system ended up kind of expanding into a more holistic system, not just input, but coming output as well, and even just a holistic above that. So I ended up creating 3 templates, one of the input, one of the output, and then one holistic template. And through that, I was able to have this life operating system. So I feel like that first phase was complete, and it's almost kind of expanded or rebranded into this knowledge management as a whole. And the PolyInnovator has always been my umbrella niche, if you will. And it was technically, I guess, my first phase was talking about all that polymathic stuff. But really, knowledge management and polymathy have been my 2 mainstays from the beginning. It's just in a certain degree or way was that actually prevalent. And then eventually the interviews came about. I kind of consider that my second phase because it just took so much time and focus, and I'm glad it's there. And then the swimming. The swimming became the next phase, and I was really desperate to get my content out for that because I've been teaching for so long. I wanted to be able to teach even more people. And it's fascinating to me because I focused so much on the interviews that I didn't do any digital content creation around swimming. Now that I am, I still have to kind of keep the other phases going too. And then all of a sudden, over the last year or so, all of these content repurposing tools have just popped out of the woodwork. I'm finding new ones every week, literally every week. And I'm not making hardly any videos about them, but I should. I did make a blog post this week listing out all the tools that I could find, even updating it with a couple new tools I found this week. And so I had to switch to standing mode because I couldn't keep sitting. All these new tools came out. No one was talking about them. I wanted to be that person. I saw the blue ocean and I took it. But then I had basically the knowledge management and polymathy, the swimming, and then content repurposing. And this year, I really wanted to at least experiment, let alone get started with the gaming brand. I had experimented with live streaming in the past, but didn't really make any content. The only content I had made were just clips I had taken while playing my games. And I actually lost about half of them thanks to Xbox. And so while I've been creating content around gaming, I have not done much with it. This year I created the website, which is based on paragraph.xyz's kind of alternative to Substack, and so I can create a newsletter there as well. So I have that content, written content on a website, separate from my main site, as well as a separate YouTube. Didn't really make any videos for it all year. Now, it might seem like I'm randomly rambling, and it might even seem like I'm talking about a lot of 10 different things at once. Hence the multi-channel and multidisciplinary brand. But it'll make sense in a moment, I promise. Every time I try to explain my phases to a lot of people, it seems to them, maybe to you too, and whoever you may be, my grandchildren or just some random person on YouTube, that I'm spreading myself too thin, or maybe I had my hand in too many different cookie jars. But the funny thing is, I can see where all these different brands and niches come together. Swimming and gaming have been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Content repurposing has just become a fascinating interest of mine through this content creator journey that I've had. And like I said, I saw an opportunity there that I had to take. Modular education is how I got started with my journey, and it taught me knowledge management, and now I have a system to help me organize my polymathic life. I can help other polymaths and polymathic people, whether you're a generalist or jack of all trades, doesn't matter, help people like you create your knowledge management system for yourself. And so this pathway for each different niche seems to be pretty clear to me. I just have to get around to doing it. And in order to do so, each one has a pathway that's going to help me as a whole with this PolyInnovator ecosystem. The gaming brand is a much quicker subject to grow with. And on top of that, I have so much I can offer in the gaming community as a generalist gamer, as I call it. With tons of different games already planned out in mind, even videos recorded for my first whole season of State of Decay that I'm going to keep working on trying to get out by the end of the year. And then tons and tons of different blog posts planned out. So I have a ton of content in that stream. And that's going to just help my overall brand grow. With the knowledge management for polymaths, it's a much more nuanced or niche, ironically, considering both of those topics are pretty wide-ranging, but it's a much more niche approach, and I think that's going to help me market myself differently for different people online. Whether they want to just have a really advanced knowledge management system, or they're a polymath trying to organize their life, or both, that pathway I can give people is going to be really helpful. And that's going to help the main brand grow quite a bit. Maybe a little bit faster, although those two particular brands aren't necessarily, or topics, super fast growing on their own. And then comes down to swimming. Swimming, I want to offer to the world just as something as a person. I have that to offer, and I want to write a book and eventually make a course, hopefully even underwater parts in the videos too, no less. But having that funnel for people to use so they can learn how to swim from me without having me directly teach them coaching-wise. And that's going to help me create a much more wide-ranging, or teach a multitude of more people. And that funnel is just something I have to get done. It's not like I have to keep it going besides just making the newsletter, which honestly I don't mind doing. I enjoy it. After I make the course, I don't intend on making more courses after that unless there's a big demand for it. So once I get that book out, I'll feel satisfied for a while, and then I'll try to not wait too long, and I'll make the course. That funnel will be complete, and I'll feel satisfied. Making one post a week around that topic, cool. And then maybe some social posts too. The content repurposing aspect. There's just all these tools coming out, a lot of comparisons I can make, a lot of content ideas I have come up with, and so I'm excited for that. And the only funnel part of that is just creating the PolyTools website for people to go to and learn about these tools. And then I can link to my blog post through there, and it's kind of a self-sustained or self-sufficient system. So those two phases basically have an end cap. I don't have to worry about them. Just like the modular degree phase essentially ended when I created the template. I'll go back to it at some point, but for the most part, it ended, and I can just focus on the new ones now. If I get those two projects done, the book and the PolyTools website, I'll feel satisfied as a creator for these particular funnels, leading people into a book. The book's going to last, basically, it's pretty much evergreen. And then I can focus on the two main things, knowledge management and the gaming, as my two main focuses going on. And that's a lot easier to balance than just trying to juggle all four different plates. Because I failed at the gaming one this year. I managed to get the first three just fine for the most part, except for when I was sick. But I'm building up that habit again. I'm making this a day late, but I'm making sure I do it. I'm gonna make the I made the swimming post a day late, but I made sure I did it. And I'm gonna be working on the content repurposing post probably after this. That's it. I have no more rambling to make, but I'm really excited about these phases. That's where I'm at. Thank you.